Hello to all of you dear friends who are interested in the powerful Python programming language. Thank you for being with me in another educational video of this widely used programming language. The next discussion is aligning text strings. Sometimes you want to align the text by removing or adding white spaces. For example, move all text to the center, left or right. For example, consider the T string. You can use just to align it, L just for align it from the left side, and right just to align it from the right side. And also you can use a center in order to align it from the center. Actually, these functions get also some inputs which these integers are the widths of the string it returns to us. If the input number is smaller than the length of this string, it returns the string itself. But if you choose the input number larger than the length of the string, the meaning of this alignment will be determined. It is aligned actually from the right if you use rjust, and if you use center, it is aligned from the center. Actually, you can use other characters instead of white spaces in these alignments. For example, here I use the star. Here I use the @sign, and also you can use format function to align text and strings. The input of this function is the text itself and a string. This string contains a length and a sign. The greater than sign means that this alignment should be done from the right side. The less than sign means that this alignment is done from the left. And the hat sign, which corresponds to the power in mathematical computation, means that the alignment is done from the center. Okay, we have the expressions written in the cells here. I run it here for you, and this 8 is the substitute of the white spaces for these alignments. Actually, you can specify the outputs type too. You can write, you can read about them here in the documentations of Python. But if you want to specify the output type, you should put the type here at the end of this string. I here put the S in order to have a string type for my output. There are other types that you can read on the documentation of Python, so you can see that this format is a powerful function. If you put curly braces in the string and then use dot format, you must have as many arguments as these curly braces. Here we have this because there are 2 curly braces available. There are 2 arguments too, and you do these alignments with these curly braces and the formats here. A point that should be noted is the necessity of placing these columns. If we do not consider the type the string is considered, the variables can also be used. For example, here because we previously defined a t variable, we can use it here in the format. Okay, consider this x. We want to format it and align it with the format. Actually, x is not defined. Okay, I forgot to run this. We want to do alignment with the aim of the function format here. Okay, it returns a string by default. If we want to have a float as an output, we can put the F at the end of this string. In this string, we say that the output type is float, and up to 3 digits we want to be displayed in the output. And percent was also used in older codes. You can use a percent sign in order to do alignment like this. If we want it to be aligned from the left side, we use the dash line. A format is preferred over the percent sign because it is both a general purpose and newer than percent. Okay, the next discussion is combination and connection of strings. Suppose you have some strings and you want to connect them. If these strings are in a sequence, the fastest method is to use the join method. Okay, consider this ls list which contains these strings. If you use join, you can see that the interpreter glued them together without any gaps. If we want a space, we put a space in the string. Here we consider a space in order to add a space between every pair of these elements of this list, actually list ls I mean. After running this cell, you can see that the desired spaces are available in our output. If we want a command space between strings, we should add both of them inside our string before join. If you have a list like A and want to join it, you can see that you get error. Actually, it does not run because what comes from the input is not a string type. But if you alter the types of the elements inside the A list and then apply the join built-in function on them, you can see that you reach the desired output. This method is for strings actually. Another method is to use sum operation. For example, if you have the A string containing I love and the other one which is named B containing Python programming, and do an addition on them, you can see that this is the output. Now, if you want to consider a space between two strings, you can add it by yourself. Inside the print, you can use these curly braces and format function too. And also you can use the addition operation too, and you can see that the both outputs are similar together. Okay, actually in the concept of strings, you can have strings like A and put two strings besides each other. If you show this A, you can see that two strings are printed after each other's actually. If the goal is just to stick two strings together, you can use this function hello world. Here the question may arise whether the discussion of combining and connecting the strings was important to dedicate a section to it. I emphasize again that in the discussion of advanced programming, the goal is to introduce the best methods according to the conditions, and performance is important. Let's see what was our A. This is our A, and consider an empty string named S and consider such loop. This was our A and this was our S. Okay. Here you can see that using the plus sign and sum operation is not optimal in terms of memory and actually time because keeping, containing the result of this sum operation, and actually the operation itself needs a place, actually a memory, and of course the operation itself is time consuming too, so it is not an optimum method. Consider list L. You want to join these strings together. Actually, you want to change the elements of L into the type of the elements inside the L into a string if they are not in the type of strings, and then you want to join them together. You can use generator expressions inside join. What I wrote it here for you. Consider A as a Python string, B as programming string, and C as Udemy string, and you can use the sum operation inside print function into for printing them, and you can separate them with commas by this command, but this is a very bad method. The better method is to use join inside the print function. Actually, there is also a better way. You don't need to add them explicitly yourself. The print function has a separator element itself, and you can argument itself, and you can use them. You can use different elements and characters as separator inside the print function. When you work with print, it is not necessary to use other methods. As for input and output, think that you have created a file on write mode. Actually, I do not want to create any files here, but in order to mentioning delicate point here, I comment these instructions, but I want to emphasize on a point here for you. Consider these codes. If you want to write two parts, part 1 and part 2 inside this file, which solution do you prefer, the first one or the second one? To write two parts, you have to check yourself which one is better. But in general, if you have short phrases, the first way is better, because system call is a time-consuming process. But where your parts are long, the second method is better, because it is more optimal in terms of memory and time, because the additional function of sum is removed. When coding, when you want to put several short strings together, it is best to use generator functions. Let's define a generator function here together. We want to define the genSt generator function. The property of generator functions was these yields, and at the final we want to use join and calling this genSt function as its input. If we created such file, we could use these generator functions for this purpose too, but since we have not created the file, we will comment it. We actually commented it, but the process is like this. So the main issue is paying attention to performance. Okay. The next discussion is entering variables into strings. You want to create a string and insert variables into it. There are different ways to do this. Consider S as a string. Name is num years old. Okay, we want to format it with values Ghazal and 31 as the values of variables name and num respectively. You can also define the variable inside the format itself. You can have these variables actually outside of your format, or you can use it inside the format map by calling the vars. You can also define a class info and define a method inside it for initialization of the variables name and num. If you consider A as an object of this class with values, input values Ghazal and C31, you can apply the format map function on this S with the input arguments vars, which gain its values from the object A, and you can see the output here. What happened if you consider a value for one of the variables but not for the other? How can you write the name of the variable if it is not entered? You can actually visit this page among the documentations of a Python site. When we use varza on an object of a class, it returns it as a dictionary. You can use this feature. Let's define another class for missing dictionaries, which its input is a dictionary. Let's define a method inside it which is named missing, and its input is a key, and we want to say that return us the key itself inside two curly braces. Let's at first delete the predefined variable num which we previously defined it, and then applying format map with the input argument of this misdict applying on vars. Okay, that is by making this class. If one of the values is not in the dictionary, you can get the output with the key without error. We can define a utility function for this. This is a higher level discussion. At first, let's import a sys module. Let's define a function sub with input argument a text, and we want to say it returns the result of applying this format map on this text, while its input arguments is this misdict class with input argument sys.getFrame with input argument 1, and we want its locals actually. Okay, let's talk a little about frame stacks at first. Here, consider this cell just for figuring out these explanations, not anything more. The program started a few lines ago. As far as defining functions, nothing happens. And now suppose that we are in the main stack. It means where our program is running. We get to the function A. When A is run, a new frame arrives. When we get to return B, this frame and the variables inside it are closed. Then a new frame is created and B is run and continues in the same way. Every time a function is called, a frame is opened for it. Every time we reach return, this frame is closed. This process can have different depths. Now in Python, you can access different depths and frames for each function. You can read the description of getFrame here. By adjusting the depth in this method, you can access the object a few frames ago. If you do not write anything, the current frame is considered. You will understand more in the example. In the discussion of placing variables inside the expression, we want to actually define this function. And then we want to say print the effect of this function on this text, on this string. Okay, here we had the name variable, so the value of this variable, which was Ghazal, is printed here. If we delete this variable here and again see the effect of function sub on this string, you can see that the printed phrase here is the key, which is the variable name, which is name here inside two curly braces. Okay, again you can dedicate a value to name. Consider these variables and their corresponding values. Now you can apply the same sub function on this text. Now result of A multiply in B and adding the addition of the product to C, which should be equal to D. You can see that it is working correctly. Actually, you can print the effect of the same function sub on this string. My best programming language is PL name. Actually, PL name should be a variable name, but because it is not defined yet, so here the same variable name is printed. If we define this variable and dedicate a value to it, you can see that in the next running of the code, the Python, which was the value of this variable, is printed here. What was our name variable? John, and the value of variable num is 40. Okay. Let's import a string and use a template on it with this template. Name is num years old. Now we want to substitute our variables with this template, and you can see that the printed phrase is John is 40 years old. Let's see what is this verse. These are all your variables in this notebook. The method that is best and most optimal among them is format. So I suggest you to use a format. Okay, the next discussion is change the format of the text to the specified number of columns. Consider this string as S. We want to determine how many letters are in each line. We have the text wrap module to display texts better. Let's import it and use it inside the print function. We want to use the feature fill of it, and we want to apply it on this S and say that we want to have 60 words in each line. You can see that it shows us the text with a certain width. If it is a little irregular, it is because of the difference in the length of the words. If the interpreter cannot fit the word in each line, it goes it actually sends the word to the next line. You can also consider an indentation for the first line with the argument initial indent, and consider some spaces for its values. And also, if we want all lines to have this indentation except the first line, we can use another argument, which is a subsequent indent instead of initial indent. Of course, you can read the features related to this method in the Python documentation. Working with these methods is very simple, and you can use them by visiting the Python website. I have reviewed some examples for you here. Okay, thank you for being with me in another educational video of this popular programming language. I still suggest that you stay tuned, because the next video will be our last educational video, and it contains advanced content and very high-level tips that are very useful for programmers in string and text analysis. But the next video will not be our last video. After that, I will devote a video to practicing these topics, and after that it will be the turn of the key and practical points that you will encounter in the course of work in the real environment. That is, the discussion of theoretical knowledge is over, and I will teach you valuable tips from the real world of Python programming work. Okay, have a nice time.